Off the Leash, Episode 4. Mark Schwab, Chris Frye of our outstanding news department here at 19 News. Joining us this week, Ashley Holder, Leah Doherty on special assignment, which is to say,
yes,
they're not here. Leah did have a sit-down conversation with DeJuan Jones, and we will hear that. Technically, they were standing. We will hear that chit-chat coming up a little bit later in the show. We're going to start with Myles Garrett, the Browns' all-world pass rusher who makes $40 million a year.
Sure.
The big news, wanted the trade, did decide he's not going to get traded because they paid him the money, and part of that money comes with leadership.
Yes.
And then we found out he got like a 100-mile-an-hour speeding ticket. So we're going to start with what Myles had to say. He talked Wednesday. It was the first time he spoke with reporters since the news broke, Chris, that he had the motor vehicle violation. And I'm going to play what he had to say.
All right.
And then we'll talk.
Well, Myles, we had not talked to you since your last speeding incident. What is it like to be in that car and seeing that speedometer creep up toward 100, like a mile an hour?
I'd honestly rather talk about football on this team than anything I'm doing off field other than the back to school event that I did the other day.
But still, I mean, people want to know about that.
People want to know a lot of things, but I try to keep my personal life personal. I'd rather focus on this team when I can.
So, you're not willing to say if he learned anything from that incident or vowed not to do it again or something like that?
I'd rather talk about something that's more, focused on this team and what we're doing, what we're trying to accomplish.
Muz's camp been different for you?
Them giving me more of a, I'm going to say leeway, but giving me more of a platform, I should say, to lead where I can. I feel like there were some spaces where they were a bit hesitant to allow me to take over, and not just on the field, with my play, but, with some different, things that we're doing.
Inwardly conversations?
Yeah, conversations, what we're doing throughout the day, just how, the flow of the day goes, just trying to be involved and try to give what's best, for the guys and be as efficient as we can throughout the day.
Are you expecting to play Saturday? And then also, too, just your thoughts on how this camp preseason have gone for you to get you ready for your upcoming season?
I'm definitely ready to play. If our number's called, then I'm definitely suiting up and ready to go. Fortunately, got the pleasure of going against Lane and Jordan. Those guys are tremendous at what they do, and it's always fun going over there. They receive us well, and it's always great work going against them. They're two of the best at their craft.
Andrew, Myles, I'm sorry. This is important. So we'll talk about being a leader. So what kind of a leadership does that show when you get pulled over by the cops?
Again, you're asking the same question, and I've answered it 2 different times. So I'm gonna need you to ask a different question so I can focus on this team and not this headline you're trying to get out of this question you're asking.
Ooh, a little back and forth there with Jeff Shudell, longtime Browns scribe in this city, and this was the reaction right here that Chris Frye went to when the statement from Myles began.
My head hurts, Mark. It really does. Look, man, you get the money. Well, first of all, let's rewind. This wasn't his first incident here in Northeast Ohio. Myles Garrett almost lost his life in an accident. Let's start there.
Yep. And
he's been pulled over several times. For you not to address this incident, this most recent incident, it's baffling because you are a leader. You're a former Defensive Player of the Year in the league. You're heralded as one of the better players in the league. And you are one of the team leaders of the Cleveland Browns. And to sit there and not want to address it, it's weak. It's weak. That's what it is. I love Myles Garrett, but it's weak from a man's perspective. We're not even talking about football. Push the football, push the contract, all that aside. As a man, we are all taught, men and women, when you mess up, you hold yourself accountable. Myles Garrett did not hold himself accountable. And I'm sorry, that is weak. It's weak.
So I have a slightly different perspective on this. I agree with you to an extent. I believe he should have said something.
You have to.
I also don't believe this has anything to do with being a team leader. And the reason I say that is I don't think there is a single player in that locker room that would look at him as less of a guy, man, leader, whatever, because he was speeding. However, to your point, what he did was considered serious in the eyes of the public and certainly in the eyes of his team, in the eyes of the law. And in that sense, he needs to say something. And it can be a quick, I screwed up. Yep, this has been a problem for me. I get it, and I get it happened again, and it shouldn't happen, and I understand that, and coaches talk to me. Spend a minute on it, and then move on.
Listen. We do the news every day, all right? And Brown's PR can take a hit on this. And I'm not trying to ruffle any feathers. I'm just saying in a moment like this, as the media, we have to answer the question. That's what we do. We ask our job.
Yep.
But the PR team, they have to say, whether it's Andrew Berry, Coach Stefanski, someone from PR is like, hey, you know this is coming. This is how you need to answer it. And just move on. Say, hey, I messed up. This is a bad incident. It's a bad look for me, bad look for the team. I messed up. I apologize. I could have really hurt someone, could have hurt myself. That's it. How long was that? 15 seconds?
Yep.
Easy. Yep. And would have moved on instead to say, I'm not going to address that. I'm sorry, Myles. We love you from a man's perspective. That is weak. You got to hold yourself accountable, bruh. Come on.
I wonder if Brown's PR did talk to him about that. And Myles has the ability to say, no, I'm not talking about it. Because he's Myles Garrett. He can do whatever he wants. I have seen Brown's PR in other circumstances kind of talking to guys before, hey, remember this? And you see these little conversations, and that's good. They should get guys ready.
Yes.
But Myles Garrett has the ability to say, no, I'm not gonna, and there's nothing you can do about it because I make $40 million and you need me out there, and you can't make me say this.
But
I just don't want to talk about it.
Here's the deal, Mark. There has to be an adult in the room. In this instance, Myles Garrett is not acting like an adult. This is an Andrew Berry situation. This is someone with power. I don't care if you have the contract. Once again, this is from a moral standpoint. Andrew Berry, they all knew this was coming. Your brain trust had to get together and say, hey, Myles, we got to nip this in the bud. Just answer the question. Come out with a statement and just say, hey, what happened? I messed up. I want to move on. This doesn't affect my leadership. I want to be a better leader. Like, that's basic PR 101.
Mm-hmm.
And this, once again, look, from an outsider's perspective, a lot of stuff has happened with this team that could have been handled a lot better. And I'm not talking about with Myles. We're talking about with other things in the past in my 6 years here. And then this instance, it's once again the Browns not doing its due diligence and telling its star player, make this right and move on. It's so simple.
It's a quick statement, maybe a question, and then a pivot.
That's it.
He was speeding.
Yes.
Right? There are as far as like traffic violations and legal entanglements, there are far worse things you can do. I wasn't doing 80 and a 70. He was peaking the meter a little bit. But still, there are far worse things he can do. I feel like there's a way. You're exactly right. He can come out, deal with it for a minute and two, and then move on with life. Now, speaking of statements, we're going to back this up a little bit because we did get a statement, I think it was Tuesday,
right,
from one of the newest members of the Browns. Mm-hmm. There's moves all the time, so I can't remember. But Isaiah Bond. And this was the epitome of a clearly scripted statement that the young man, I'm sure he tried to sound natural, but this ain't it.
Nope.
I'm very excited to be a Cleveland Brown. I've been playing football since 6, and I know it's a great privilege to play in the NFL, and I'm very, very grateful for that. I know there's going to be questions about the allegations, but my agent and my attorney have advised me not to go into details on that. Since day one, I proclaimed my innocence, and I stand here today in that same way. I'm very excited to get to know my teammates and show the Cleveland Brown community why they made the right decision.
All right, so if you don't know, Isaiah Bond, he was thought of as a day 2 draft pick. Some said second round, some said third
round, something like that, yeah.
There were allegations of sexual harassment and sexual assault,
yes.
Sexual assault. I want to be clear on the language.
Yep.
A grand jury decided there's no case here. It's called a no bill. and this was thrown out on I think it was Monday, and then the Browns signed him.
Right.
And so he did have to say something.
Mm-hmm.
And this is, I guess, the other end of this, where you get what is clearly a crafted statement, probably from the agent and or team. And I say, I'm sure they ran it past him, and he's doing his best to say all the right things. But clearly, he has rehearsed this script word for word in the mirror. And, that's the okay. It was just.
It was bad. It wasn't great. It wasn't great. Listen, the comments. Anywhere that this statement was posted, you should see you go to the comments immediately.
Of course.
And the one that stood out to me is a couple of them is after he finished. And I'm paraphrasing. It almost as if he gave a grin, like he was satisfied with what he said. It also another one is I don't know if you did this when I was younger. For Easter, we used to give Easter speeches at church.
Okay.
We used to recite them, and word for word. It's exactly what he sounded like on a Sunday morning Easter speech.
Easter speech.
It's yes. And on the third day, it's come on, man. Listen. It was, unlike Myles, at least he addressed it.
Right.
It wasn't great. It didn't feel natural. He's a young kid.
That's the other thing here. Right? Myles has been at this a longer time.
Right.
Isaiah's that. But the one comparison I saw, which was hilarious, was you're a dad. You've probably seen the movie Up.
Yes.
Anyone who's seen the Disney movie
Yes.
Up or
Yes.
Pixar, excuse me, I don't know where that line is drawn.
Yes.
And there's the kid. He opens the door, Russell, and he's like, "Hi, my name is Russell. I am here to see if you need anything." That is.
He'll never live that down in his
No.
circle, in his inner circle. He won't.
He will. That's exactly
He'll
right.
never live it down.
And
Yep.
I want to be real clear because there's some fine pie slice in here. I'm not making fun of the kid for getting in front and making the statement.
Because he did the right thing. Yes.
Yes, he did. He absolutely said, "Here's what. I know you're going to ask. I've been told I can't talk about it.
Mhm.
So let's just get this out of the way and get to the football business." It was just the way
Right.
that the line was addressed.
Hello, Mark Schwab. I am here with Chris Frye off the leash. It's so funny, man. Yes.
It was clearly scripted, but anyway, now that we're done with the legalities and the statements and all of that jazz, there is some football to discuss, and they did name Joe Flacco the starting quarterback. Nobody should have been surprised by that.
Of course.
And I'll tell you, I had not heard this before, Chris. I've never heard of a veteran quarterback talk about this before, but he actually said that you can get bored. Now, think about it. You are preparing for a situation where there are grown, large, fast men that want to bury you in the turf. And getting yourself ready to avoid the turf burying gets boring.
But you know what that tells me? And I've heard this term not just in sports, but in whatever field of work that you're in. When folks are about to retire, they always say, "I'm starting to get bored. I'm starting to get tired." And I think Joe Flacco right now, this is it. If he's saying right now, he's just giving giving you crumbs now.
We're going to play it in a second.
Okay.
He doesn't say he is bored, but he combats boredom.
boredom.
Those are two different things.
Yeah, but I mean, if it's mentioned in that context, he's not. To me, he's here. He's
crossed
committed.
his mind.
It's crossed his, and when it begins to cross your mind, Mark, you're starting to walk down a path where it's
Yeah.
I told you this yesterday off the air. I think Joe Flacco, and I hope this doesn't happen. I think he's about 3, maybe 4, 5 big hits away from saying, "You know what?
I don't need this.
I don't need this.
I don't
I'm
need
good."
this. I don't need this.
And I hope the line can protect him.
Yeah.
But we know it's the NFL. Grown men coming after you, trying to knock your head off. I think he's about 3 to 4 to 5 hits away from saying, "You know what? I'm done. 40 years old.
Got a ring. Got a bunch of
No,
numbers.
I've got money saved. We're good.
We're good."
So yeah.
So this I want to play the whole thing in context. Kevin Stefanski also talked about this, and he had the perspective of also working with Brett Favre.
Okay.
When Favre was, let's just say, at an advanced age.
I think the thing that, as you get in the league, no matter what position you are, that the part of it that you deal with mentally that maybe is a little bit of a struggle, not an advantage, is that you got to fight like the boredom and the monotony of doing it for so long. I mean, we've all been playing football since we've been teenagers, and at some point we all will be done. So I think when you can kind of get into that 10-year area, there is a part of your brain that wants to make it, oh, I'm doing this again. And I think that I've been in a good position the last few years to kind of get over that mindset. But I think that's the one actual kind of drawback that you have as an older player, is that, you do have to fight some of that, or you had to fight it throughout your career. Now, the advantage is I think I've gotten over that to a certain extent, and now and you feel very good about where you are. And all positions, but specifically a quarterback, you definitely should get better as your age climbs up. Because, and even if there's things that you haven't seen before and somehow somebody's creating something new, it's just the way that you react to that is a little bit more, you can tell is a little bit more experienced than a younger guy, that it might throw him off a little bit. So yeah, there's definitely advantages as you get older in this league, no matter what position you are. If you can keep your physical health, then, the more mentally sharp you are, the better you're going to be.
I was around Favre when he was 40 years old, and Brett used to call them meetings beatings. So yeah, I think Joe's got the right attitude. There's a lot of minutia that goes into football. There's a lot of meetings that aren't so fun, and they're typically very early in the morning, so you better bring your cup of coffee with you. But Joe does a really nice job of not getting bored and making sure that he's on point with all of the line calls, whether it's protection or run game.
On the flip side, when the bullets fly, when you guys start playing, how can it help you guys to have somebody who has seen so many different looks throughout his career?
Yeah, obviously there's value in experience, and that's something that Joe has a ton of experience as a starter, as a backup, in different systems, going against different schemes. So he'll certainly lean on that experience, and we will as well.
So he did say Joe's done a good job of avoiding that, and Flacco did acknowledge I've had it in the past, and he's found a way to get past it. And the fact that he's still playing, and he does say he probably truly has gotten around that. To your point, though, you do wonder if they're like 1-6, and he's getting smacked in the head.
Yep.
And there probably is a point where he might decide womp womp.
Well, I mean, once again, I'll say it before. I said it before. I'll say it again. Once it crosses your mind, at this stage, all right. This is his 7th team. Once it crosses your mind at this stage of his career, 40 years old, he's got the grades. It doesn't go away, because as an older player, it's getting closer. Mm-hmm. He sees it. He sees the light.
Yeah.
And 1-6, 10 sacks in 2 games, that will change your mind very quickly.
He's not there yet, but you could make a good case he is down the street.
Yes.
Quick break. When we come back, Leah Doherty and DeJuan Jones sat down. Chris, there's been so many conversations for good reason about quarterback and a lot of stuff with the defense, the injuries and things like that. But we haven't talked much about a position change. DeJuan Jones moving from right tackle to left tackle, the big man from Ohio State. Mm-hmm. This is a guy, it seems like he's done well at right tackle. If he can truly play left tackle, this is a find for Andrew Berry to find your franchise left tackle, which is one of the more important positions, in the 4th round. That would be a major cap tip for him.
Agreed. The biggest thing is, can this kid make an impact from game one? Can this offensive line stay healthy? Because if he does well, that's great.
Yeah.
What about the other 4 linemen? Can they open up the holes for the running backs, for the 2-3 running backs we have? Can they give Flacco 3 to 4 seconds to get down the field? That's the big question. Get your left tackle, protect Flacco's blind side, but the other 4 guys, and I think Batonio's still.
Oh yeah,
he's still there.
He's still elite.
He's still there. So we've got other guys. The big question every year with this team and the offensive line.
And they
stay healthy.
They've had a lot of injuries there over the last few years. Leah Doherty, not with us today on the pod. She is with us in spirit as she talked with DeJuan Jones earlier in the week.
The big storyline with you headed into this season is the move, obviously, right tackle to left tackle. I know you got a little bit of work playing in a preseason game with that. So how have you felt so far with that transition?
This had its challenges, you know, like I always said in my interviews, you know, blocking Myles is definitely a challenge. And just playing left tackle, the angles are different. And, you know, I definitely am just still learning and developing. But, you know, it's good to go out there and get the experience to play in the game. And, you know, we're going to probably play on this Saturday, so it'd be good for us.
That's a big transition. So what was going through your mind when you realized, okay, this is going to be how I'm able to help the team the most, is making this move?
It was more so just, you know, just try something new. You know, it was kind of the same in college, going from right tackle to left tackle. So, you know, I'm always up to anything, whether I can get on the field and, you know, just play. So that's my main thing.
Your first couple seasons here in Cleveland have ended in injury. I know you've been working really hard to get into great shape this offseason. So what are some of the things that you've done? I know you've lost some weight. What are the things that you've done to prepare yourself for a healthy year?
This diet, you know, I dealt with our nutritionist, Kelsey. That was my main piece this year, is just get with her and, you know, just cut out the bad things that I'm eating. You know, you still can, you know, actually snack as much as you want to. You just got to make sure you do it at the right time and stuff like that. So really just hats off to Kelsey. That's been my personality in the arm.
Switching to left tackle, you've had 3 offensive line coaches in 3 years. What are you able to take from each of those guys now headed into this year?
You know, they all come from the Bill tree, or that they work for Bill. So, you know, I kind of really just stay from the Callahan tree and just use that to the new coach. And, you know, they really don't have no issue with it. Just some things I tweak just because, you know, that's just what Coach asked for. But for the most part, that's what, you know, Bill and Coach Bloom are the kind of same people.
Joe Flacco was named the starter for week 1. What is it like to have him back here in Cleveland? What type of energy does he bring to this offense?
Just leadership, you know, not that the other guys don't, you know what I mean, but he just been there, he's done it 10 million times, so it's like, you know what I mean, you just hats off to Joe and, you know, just gonna do his thing.
Everyone in the offseason talked about a heightened intensity, whether it's in the weight room, out at practice. Do you feel that? Do you feel a difference from last year?
Yes, you know, it just feels like my rookie year. You know, I never try to compare years, but, you know, you just get that vibe and energy from everybody. You know, people want to, you know, just be around each other, and I like that. It just, they help team chemistry.
What makes you most excited about this season?
This winning, you know, winning games, bringing the city happiness. You know, it's definitely sad when people come to you, you know, they talk to you about, you know, just losing. You know, I hate being listed as a loser. And so, you know, I think that the main thing is bringing the wins to this team for sure.
That is absolutely what Browns fans want. They want wins because everyone here is tired of losing. And you know, Chris, I don't expect this offense to be real good, but that offensive line does have talent. That guy, Bitonio, Teller, Posic's fine. Conklin, he's had a lot of injuries, but when he's healthy, he's there. And you talked about it. Can they open holes for the ground game? And to me, I've said in the entire run-up to this season, I can tell you a story where the Browns are good. I don't think it's a likely story. I'm not predicting it. But there is a path, and it involves play good defense and open up holes, run the football. They got a line. We'll see what happens with Judkins whenever he's here, but they should be able to run the ball.
Games are won in the trenches. I don't care if it's offense or defense. And if your offensive line is dominating and they're staying healthy and you've got good depth, it's gonna be good for the offense. It's gonna be good for Joe Flacco and the running backs, because that means the team is gonna have some success if they can move the ball down the field. It starts with them. I know it sounds cliche, but it is true. Without a good offensive line, you're nothing. And the winning teams we have seen in the past in the NFL, they've won in the trenches. So that's really where it starts down to. If the Browns are going to have a successful season, it starts with their O-line.
And they piled up some injuries so far on defense, but right now the offensive line and those pieces, everybody's healthy, everybody's accounted for. Let's see where this goes. Chris, it's been fun. Thanks for coming by this week.
I love it.
All right, filling in for, pretty much everybody. It's just me and Chris here.
Wow. High regard right there. Filling in for 2-3 people.
You are. You're filling in for Ashley and Leah.
It's a lot of pressure.
Big shoes. Now he's got to go do the news, and I got to go do TV stuff as well. Thanks for joining us off the leash. Wrapping up episode 4 for Chris Frye, Leah Doherty. I'm Mark Schwab. See ya.